The bright morning sun flooded through the supermarket's glass doors, turning every aisle into a river of gold. People moved briskly with carts full of weekend groceries, kids laughing, workers in uniforms scanning barcodes in rhythmic beeps. But at checkout counter 7, something extraordinary was about to happen. Something that would ripple far beyond the aisles of this small town store. A young woman in her early 30s stood frozen before the cashier, her elegant blouse neatly tucked, her long black hair slightly loose from the humidity outside. Her name was Clara Voss, CEO of a growing tech company headquartered in the city. To the world she was a millionaire with influence and power. But today, she had no wallet, no assistant, no card. It wasn't lost. She had left her designer handbag in her car, parked 3 blocks away while trying to keep a low profile on her weekend trip. And now, the cashier had already scanned everything. The total blinked red on the small digital screen. Note 82.43. The line behind her grew longer and whispers began. She reached for her pocket instinctively and realized, with a sting of embarrassment, she had only her phone, and no internet signal to access her payment app. Her heartbeat grew loud in her ears. For someone used to commanding boardrooms, this was an oddly humbling situation. "Mom, should I cancel the order?" the cashier asked softly, sensing her discomfort. Clara hesitated, and then, from behind her, a calm voice spoke. "I got it," said a man holding a few bills in his rough hand. Everyone turned to look. He was tall, mid-30s, wearing an old blue flannel shirt with sleeves rolled up. His jeans were faded, shoes worn. His name was Aaron Miles, a single father who worked double shifts at a construction site just across town. His eyes were tired but kind, the kind of eyes that had seen struggle and still chosen compassion. Clara blinked in surprise. "Oh, no, you don't have to." But Aaron just smiled gently. "It's all right. Happens to all of us." The cashier looked uncertain. "Sir, it's $82. Aaron nodded, pulled out his thin wallet, and counted the bills slowly. It was almost everything he had left for the weekend, but he didn't flinch. "Go ahead," he said. "Let her take her groceries." The Clara's throat tightened. No one had ever done something like this for her. Not since before she became the CEO. For a moment, she wasn't the rich woman people admired. She was just another person, being helped by a stranger with nothing to gain. If you believe kindness still exists in this world, if you believe second chances and good hearts still matter, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's spread stories that remind us humanity is still alive. Back in the store, Clara followed Aaron outside, carrying her groceries. "Please," she said, "I want to pay you back." Aaron chuckled. "No need. Just help someone else one day." "Please," she insisted. "Let me at least thank you properly." He shook his head politely. "Ma'am, really it's fine. I gotta pick up my daughter now." And before she could say more, he walked away, his old pickup truck coughing to life, with a little girl's laughter echoing from the passenger seat as he drove off. Clara stood there, speechless, watching the taillights fade into daylight. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about him. The kindness in his eyes, the sincerity in his tone. She had met countless people who smiled to impress, but Aaron had smiled simply because it was the right thing to do. 2 days later, Clara found herself parked near a small community school. She had discovered where the construction company he worked for was located. It wasn't curiosity, it was something deeper. A pull of conscience, maybe even admiration. She watched as Aaron picked up his daughter, Lucy, from the school gate. The girl, maybe 8 or 9, had freckles and wore an oversized pink backpack. She jumped into his arms, giggling as he lifted her high, despite his exhaustion. Clara smiled faintly. She saw in that moment pure love, pure effort. A father doing everything to give his child a better life. Later that week, Clara's company held an event nearby to discuss a new housing project. Coincidentally, or maybe fatefully, the construction firm Aaron worked for was subcontracted. He was there, standing among other laborers, wearing his hard hat and gloves, listening intently as executives spoke. When Clara stepped onto the small stage as the project's lead investor, Aaron's eyes widened. The woman whose groceries he had paid for stood now in front of hundreds, poised and powerful. Their eyes met for just a second. She saw confusion in his and maybe a hint of pride. After the event ended, she found him by the trucks, loading supplies. "I think I owe you more than $82, she said softly, approaching him. Aaron rubbed the back of his neck. "You don't owe me anything." "Ma'am, Just glad to see you're okay." The Clara looked at him with a gentle smile. "I wasn't okay that day, but your kindness reminded me something I'd forgotten. How it feels to be human without titles." He smiled faintly. "Well, kindness doesn't need a title." They talked for a while. She learned that he lost his wife 3 years ago in an accident, that he worked night shifts to keep up with Lucy's school fees, and that sometimes, after paying bills, they survived on canned soup for dinner. He didn't say it with self-pity, only honesty. Clara's heart ached. She had spent years surrounded by luxury, ambition, and people chasing wealth. Yet here stood a man who, with so little, carried more wealth of spirit than anyone she knew. A week later, she called her executive assistant. "I want to start a new initiative," she said. "A housing project for single parents. Affordable, secure, and near schools." When her team asked why, she simply said, "Because kindness deserves a foundation." Aaron didn't know about any of this. Not until months later. He received a call one afternoon asking him to report to a new housing site for a potential foreman role. When he arrived, he was stunned to see Clara waiting there, standing beside a large banner that read, "The Lucy Miles Community Housing Project." He froze. "That's my daughter's name." Clara smiled, eyes glistening. "I know. It's dedicated to parents like you. You reminded me that money can build houses, but kindness builds homes." Aaron tried to speak, but his voice broke. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll lead it," she replied softly. "You deserve it." As months passed, Aaron's life began to change. He became project supervisor, earning enough to provide Lucy with stability and hope. The once worn-out man began smiling more, laughing more. Clara visited often, not as the CEO, but as a friend. They shared lunches at the site, stories about life, loss, and courage. Over time, their friendship deepened into something unspoken. Respect, affection, perhaps even quiet love. But neither rushed it. They were both healing in their own ways. One sunny afternoon, Clara visited Lucy's school with Aaron. The little girl ran into Clara's arms as if she had known her forever. "Thank you for helping my dad," she said sweetly. Clara hugged her tightly, holding back tears. "I should be the one thanking him," Clara whispered. In the following months, the housing project opened its doors. Families moved in. Single mothers, fathers, and children who had once struggled to find shelter. At the grand opening ceremony, Clara stood at the podium, but her voice trembled with emotion as she spoke. "This project began with one act of kindness," she said, looking at Aaron in the front row. "A stranger helped me when I least expected it. He didn't know who I was. He didn't ask for anything. And that moment changed everything for both of us. It reminded me that wealth isn't what's in your bank. It's what's in your heart." The audience rose in applause. Aaron looked down, humbled, tears glistening in his eyes as Lucy held his hand tightly. Later, as the crowd dispersed and the golden sunset painted the sky, Clara walked up to him quietly. "You said once kindness doesn't need a title," she said softly. "You were right. But it deserves to be remembered." Aaron smiled through his tears. "You already did that." She placed a small envelope in his hand, the deed to his new home inside the same housing community. His hands trembled as he read it. "Clara, I can't." "Yes, you can," she said, "because this isn't charity. It's gratitude." Aaron pulled her into a hug, words lost in emotion. In that moment, the millionaire CEO and the humble single dad stood as equals, two hearts changed by a single selfless act. And as they watched Lucy run across the field laughing, the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a trail of gold, the same color that had filled the grocery store that morning when kindness first found its way into their lives. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's keep sharing stories that prove small acts can change lives. Special request, comment below. Do you believe one small act of kindness can truly change someone's destiny?